Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Kenneth here again. Um, my apologies if I'm doing this video again in my bed. I'm on bed rest for a week. Haven't been feeling very well, but um, despite all of that, um, I want to talk about this because this is something that has been going on for the past 6 months, and that is this notion of AEW versus WWE. And excuse me, I think fans' perception of this being a Monday Night War 2.0, or maybe 3.0 if you want to count the second one with that short stint that TNA had on Monday nights. Um, I think it's stupid. Fans need to stop comparing AEW to WWE. Like, stop. This is not a new Monday Night War. It's not going to be that. It's like, stop. And I say this, and I bring this video up, is because, like I said, I've just seen so many wrestling fans, whether it's online, in terms of like wrestling forums, Facebook group pages, here on YouTube, YouTubers, some I won't call out, but even podcasters. Um, Not a lot of podcasters, but some of the ones that are just, as Don Tony would call them, matarats. um, they all have this notion that, you know, we are gonna experience a new Monday Night War kind of like thing, and it's like it's so far from the truth. Um, it's it's annoying. It's annoying. Um, how can I put it this way? Don Tony and Kevin Castle on their podcast. Don Tony made a point in his podcast a couple weeks back. He says that a lot of people that are wishing and wanting, AEW to be like the new WCW and have this whole Monday Night War resurgence are people who technically never really lived um, through the Monday Night War era. They might have been born during that time, but they weren't old enough to understand and watch, the environment and know what it's like. And seeing all these, when Don Tony said that, I kind of sat back and I kind of digested that a little bit. I'm like, I don't know. But as I started to look around online, and again, going back to seeing people saying AEW is going to take WWE under, All Elite Wrestling is the savior for professional wrestling. We're going to have All Elite Wrestling is going to finish what WCW started. I look at these people who make these comments, whether it's in, wrestling groups, forums, Twitter, YouTubers, some podcasters, you name it. I look at these people who make these comments and they're like 19, 22, 24. And it's kind of like the only knowledge you have of the Monday Night War or even Attitude Era is through WWE's encyclopedia on their network. Like, that's really the only knowledge that you have. You really have not lived through the Monday Night Wars. You weren't born. I mean, you might have been born, but you were too small or too little to remember or know what it's like going through, flipping through channels between WCW Nitro and Monday Night Raw, WWF. In my household, we never had that issue because we had a VCR where we would record one wrestling show and we'd watch the other. And then after we watched the other show, then we'd go back and watch the opposite show. WCW we'd always watch live for the most part, but you don't know what it's like. You know, when ECW was had some bugs and was like the new kid, well, maybe not the new kid on the block, but had some buzz and was a hardcore revolution. Um, you don't know what that's like. And I think a lot of wrestling fans of today, this generation of wrestling fans of today, they kind of what going back to what Don Tony said, they want to feel what it's like to, the excitement where wrestlers, they go from one brand, they go on the other, they go on the other show, they go on the imposing show. You don't know who's going to show up on Nitro. You don't know, who's going to come into the WWF. All these fantasy matchups and stuff like that. They want that. They never had that, but they want that, and so they, in their mind, they are forcing and wishing that AEW, that some sort of war happens between All Elite Wrestling and the WWE, and it's like it's not going to happen. This is like fantasy booking in your mind. The earliest you probably ever watched wrestling was the Ruthless Aggression era. And even then, I'd say the earliest you probably watched wrestling was during CM Punk's pipe bomb. I mean, in 2011. So I think it's very interesting that a lot of these wrestling fans that make these claims, it's going to be like, stop it. Stop making these assumptions, because you can watch, like I said, WWE Network, you can watch all the WCW pay-per-views, the Attitude Era stuff, the ECW stuff, the Monday Night Nitro stuff, WCW Nitro stuff. You can watch all of that. But watching it versus growing up and living through that stuff and the excitement of it, two totally different perspectives. That's like me reading up on history of the Holocaust. I can read up on the Holocaust and I can say, man, that was really a tragic time, where Hitler and Nazis going around and killing people and killing Jews. But if I'm not a person who lived during the Holocaust and lived under the fear of Nazis and the reign of Hitler, it's a different perspective. I can't relate to somebody who lived through that. So, I mean, and that might be an extreme of an example, but the message is still the same. I get it. All Elite Wrestling is, and for all intents and purposes, is the first, well, maybe not the first, but it kind of is. It's going to be the first alternative to mainstream wrestling that we have gotten since WCW. I get that. I understand WWE on the last several years, excuse me, but I say the last 3 in particular, have not been doing great creatively. They have not been, how can I say, meeting your needs as a wrestling fan, being entertaining. So you want something new. You want something different. It's been 20 years since we've had a mainstream wrestling company. 20 years since the fall of WCW. 20 years since WWE has been the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling, and they've owned the whole pie for 2 decades. That's a long ass time, and that's a whole, not even one generation, that's 2 generations of wrestling fans that know only nothing but WWE. They don't know anything else. They don't know of a WCW or even an ECW. Maybe somewhat of a TNA, but even that's kind of cutting it. WWE is all they know, in terms of wrestling fans. So I get it. AEW is exciting. It is something that is has a prospect of being something fresh and different. I'm excited for it, but I think the notion that these wrestling fans that keep saying it's going to be a new Monday Night War. Now, at the end of the day, yes, it's going to be competition. Not going to be head-to-head competition, but it will be competition because, I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, All Elite Wrestling, despite what Tony Khan says, them being an alternative, which they can be an alternative to the WWE product. But at the end of the day, they're entering the wrestling space. Doesn't matter if they're trying to go for 10% of the pie, 15% of the pie, 30% of the pie. They're cutting a piece of the wrestling pie, and WWE owns majority of that. So, despite what Tony Khan and the Bucks and everyone else, their mission statement for All Elite Wrestling, they will be competition for WWE, whether that's unintentional or not, whether it's direct or indirect, they will be competition for WWE. But this notion that it's going to be a new Monday Night War, like, stop it. All Elite Wrestling is going to be coming on Tuesdays. That is their target day, and that is the right thing to do. All Elite should not go. All Elite should not aim for a Monday night. I do not want a repeat of TNA when TNA went to Monday night, and that lasted for like 6 weeks, and they had to, tuck their tails between their legs and duck back to Thursday. I don't want that for All Elite at all. I want All Elite to be successful. And I just feel like wrestling fans of today's generations of wrestling fans, they don't really make it better. Like I said, this will be a video for a different topic, but like I said, wrestling, as far as WWE, they have their issues. Wrestling has its issues, but I think fans also kind of contribute to some of the problems in today's climate of professional wrestling. Like I said, that'll be a separate video for a different day. But I just had to get this off my chest and talk about it. It's like, guys, stop. It's like All Elite Wrestling aren't coming out of here saying, hey, we're going to go for WWE and we're going to go for Vince's throat and we're going to, take on the WWE and take on their reigns. They're not like Ted Turner. Ted Turner was a guy who was like, wanted to compete directly with Vince McMahon, give Vince the run for his money. That's not All Elite's motive. That's not their MO. Nor should it be right now, at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, WWE is still the big leagues. They can suck ass on Monday Night Raw. They can sweat monkey balls on Tuesday Night SmackDown. The only good thing they can have is NXT. Talent may want to leave. Ratings may be dropping on a year-to-year basis, maybe dropping low. But at the end of the day, WWE is still the mecca of professional wrestling. Wrestling fans have got to get out of this fantasy world. Despite WWE's shortcomings, they are the mecca of professional wrestling. The only way WWE is going to go out of business, or any case, is that if they do harm to themselves. It's not going to be from any outside source. It's going to be WWE that's going to be putting the bullet in the chamber and putting themselves out of misery as to why their business is failing. But I just had to get that out there. For these wrestling fans, you guys out there, stop making these videos. Stop claiming that it is a war between WWE and AEW. Yes, I am aware that WWE are locking their guys on contracts. They're adding extensions to canceling. Canceling or rejecting, I should say, releases from certain talents and adding extensions to their contracts for dates that they may have missed out on injury. I get all that. They want to lock talent down. They don't want talent to go anywhere. I am aware WWE's not stupid. They are watching the next AEW and see how that prospers. I mean, Triple H said it himself in the NXT press conference call a couple of months back that he was like, "Hey, AEW, it's good, with what they're doing, but we'll be sure to keep a close eye on them." So they are aware of AEW's presence. They took cheap shots at Billy Gunn, at the Hall of Fame. So they are aware of AEW's presence. They see the potential. WWE, I think, they consider them to be a threat. I don't think WWE considers them to. I don't think WWE considers AEW to be. I don't think they're too worried about AEW. They're watching them, but I don't think that they really consider them to be too much of a big threat, at least not right now. Point is, fans need to stop. They need to stop. So this is my thoughts on this. You guys let me know what you think in the box below. Give your thoughts in the comments. Do yourself a favor. Like this video. Hit that subscribe button and notification while you're at it. Peace out.